So welcome.
Thank you.
We have El Salvador, we have France, we have
New Jersey.
New Jersey. Bit of a letdown to El Salvador and France. Okay, so the topic today. Hi guys, welcome. Can you last one and close the door? Close the door. Thank you. Merci. So I want to discuss just two questions today because we're at a very special time of the year. We're building up to the Jewish holiday of Shavuot. Shavuot obviously is the holiday that celebrates and actually relives to some degree as well. We'll talk about that next week some more. The giving of the Torah to the Jewish people. So really the beginning of the Jewish people as a nation is happened over there. But I want to discuss two questions that kind of surround it but not actually in it. So two questions today, and we'll try to look at a few answers for both of them. I'm sure they have many answers. I'm sure you have your own answers, which I want to hear from you as well as we go through the few minutes we have together. So the first question I have is we know that the Torah was given to the Jewish people on Mount Sinai. That's not the hospital on the Upper East Side. That's where the Jews go when they complain about, all their, physical ailments. Well, before it was a hospital, it was actually a mountain in the Sinai Desert, which is outside of Egypt, but is also outside of Israel. So the first question I have is a very simple, almost childish question, is why exactly did God give us the Torah outside of Israel? You ever thought of that? Yeah, it's outside, it's in between Egypt, right? In between Egypt and Israel. On the way, 49 days, actually the 50th day after leaving Egypt, we arrived at Mount Sinai. We arrived there a few days before in preparation, and then we're given the Torah. I mean, imagine that you're God, which for some of you could be quite easy. I don't actually know. And imagine that you had to start this nation called the Jewish people, and you knew that the land of Israel was going to play a major role in this whole Jewish story and saga that was going to last for thousands of years. Israel's going to be a major epicenter of Jewish life. I mean, we get kicked out a bunch of times, but either way, why wouldn't you take the Jewish people into Israel, take them to Jerusalem, take them to Mount Moriah, which, although there was no temple at that point when we entered, but there was going to be, and we knew where it was because Abraham brought Isaac there and Jacob had his dream on it, so we knew where it was. And give it the Torah in Jerusalem. Is that a fair question? It's almost like a childish question, isn't it? But we kind of don't really think about it. Yeah.
I think because if the Torah was given in Israel, it almost sets because it was given outside of Israel, it shows that you can follow the Torah anywhere you are in the world.
Okay. So very good, very good. So outside of Israel kind of gives us a different relationship to the Torah. Very good. We're going to come back to that in a second. Thank you. Yeah.
I think it's a precondition for Israel.
A precondition for Israel. What do you mean by that?
We just need to accept the Torah before.
Why can't you accept the Torah inside Israel?
Because we weren't yet the Jewish nation.
We weren't yet the Jewish nation. So we were kind of on the way for sure. The inland of Israel, the giving of the Torah consolidated it. Ish echad b'lev echad. We became one. But that could have happened in Israel. It didn't have to happen outside. So that was a very good answer you gave me a moment ago, which we're going to examine in a second. That's excellent. The precondition is also, I think you said, I don't think you realize how good what you said really is. Or maybe you do, I don't know. I can't read your mind. But the precondition thing is also very, very good. But they knew they were going to end up in Israel. I mean, that's why they left Egypt. The whole reason we left Egypt was to go into Israel. So just give us the Torah in Israel. Right? It's going to fly in, it's all like, coming on El Al, sing Hava Nagila and give us the Torah. C'est bon? That was the extent of my French. Yes?
Just before the entrance, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, it was right before the entrance, yeah. I mean, eventually it wasn't because they sinned with the golden calf. They had to remain outside for 40 years. So plan B kicked in. Plan A was that they would get the Torah outside of Israel and then go straight in. I mean, assume they didn't get lost. which Jewish men do and don't ask for directions, we know, but give them 3-4 weeks, I don't know, from the Sinai Desert, they'd be in. Travel up and get to, get to Jerusalem. That didn't happen. It took 40 years because they sinned with the golden calf. It's a whole story. Not for now. We'll discuss that near the time when we discuss that kind of stuff. And they weren't allowed in. That generation had to die out, and their kids went in. That's 40 years later. So plan B kicked in. But plan A was that they would actually get the Torah outside and take it in. I'm going to share a couple of answers with you. I think we've touched upon it a little bit already. Well, the first answer is...
I was going to say
yes.
also that because...
What's your name, first of all?
Anna.
Anna,
Yes.
from El Salvador.
Yes.
I like that.
Because I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but
I'll be the judge of that.
okay. But God was wanted to his people to have faith no matter what. So the fact that he gave the Torah outside Israel, it was just a test for them to trust in God. So
I mean, there's no
with the
very, very good.
promise that they will get
There's no
them.
doubt about it. A major part of being in the desert in general was a test of faith. There's no doubt about it. That's going to be part of it as well. Okay, let's try to tie all these answers together. Okay, a little bit of you, and a little bit of you said, a little bit of you said, and a little bit of you said as well. Let's see if we can put it all together. And it goes like this. First of all, what percentage of the mitzvot can you only perform in the land of Israel? What percentage of the 613 mitzvot, kama achuz, what percentage can you actually fulfill in the land itself? What do you think? 30%? Any other takers?
Mikvah, Aliyah, you can put on tefillin.
No, can you only do in the land of Israel? I tell you, but yes. What percent can you only perform in the land of Israel? What percentage of them do you think? Small, right? What percentage would you say, actually? 5%? The answer is 53%. Over half the Torah you can only perform in the land of Israel. That means today, living outside of Israel, and we have no temple because many of the mitzvot involve the temple, the korbanot, the sacrifices, and everything else to go with it. We can not do that many. We have enough to keep us busy. David, no chance in there, no doubt about that. But not 613. How do you prepare for that? It takes time. You've got to prepare for it. You can't prepare once you're there, because once you're there, you're obligated to do it. So what happened is, God downloaded the mitzvot, use the modern analogy, right? Downloaded the mitzvot early, so that we'd have them, we'd be ready, so we'd get in, we'd know what to do with them. And this idea of early download is actually not so crazy, because, I'll give you another example, the laws of Shabbat are very long and complicated. So before we even reach Mount Sinai, in a place called Mara, we were given the mitzvot of Shabbat, because we had to start learning them. So the idea of being given mitzvot early so that you can prepare for them is not so weird. Here, the entire Torah was given before we entered into Israel, so that we could be ready once we went in. Okay, that's one practical answer. But that's not the one I want to discuss with you today. But there's many answers to this question. Probably its own book. The second answer, however, is the one which is going to pull you all together. What might you have thought had the Torah been given in Israel? What mistake could you have correctly made? Justifiably made? Imagine the Torah is given in Israel. What might you have thought? That the laws of the Torah are only for the land of Israel. We're in America. We're bound by the laws of the United States of America, right? The US. If you leave America, do you have to keep American laws? Probably not. I mean, some exceptions, but if you go to Amsterdam, but if you go somewhere, right, you can do certain activities in those countries, which maybe in this country presently are illegal, although they'll probably be legal very soon. In Colorado, they already are. And you can partake of... But you can't do that in America yet. Why not? I'm an American citizen. But your citizenship defines you by your location in terms of the laws you're bound by. Now, if you break a law there, which is against that law, that's going to be problematic, probably in both countries, whatever. But that's not the point. The point is the laws of America for America. Had the Torah been given to the Jewish people in Israel, we would have thought the Torah laws are only for the land of Israel. And that is a mistake that people still make. They think that Judaism is an Israel thing. When you leave Israel, and that's not true. It's not true at all. Because the land of Israel is an important part of who we are. But it's a part of who we are. There's something bigger and more important, and that's called Torah. See, Torah is the big thing. That's given beforehand. And now you take that Torah and you enter into Israel with it. It's a big statement. By the way, that's never happened in world history. You realize that? We're the only nation in all of world history that ever did it that way. It always went that a group of people moved into a country and either they conquered it or they melded into it or whatever it was. And then they said, okay, we're here now. We've got to make some laws. We've got to learn what to do. Right? Let me think. Don't kill. That makes sense, right? Don't steal. Yeah, because I don't want people stealing from me. So they create laws in the country they're in which are going to affect us and improve society. That's the way it always is. And yet we, the Jews, did it completely differently. We actually had, about look at America. Right? How do I look at America? They didn't take the laws from elsewhere. They had ideas of laws from elsewhere, from Britain, but they came to America and the Constitution was written and signed here. They didn't take it with them outside and put it inside. It's not the way it was done. Same thing. What exactly did we do? We took the Torah from outside and we brought it inside. And that's a very big statement, isn't it? It is, right? That's saying this thing is what we're all about, and we're going to impose this law, these ideas, these principles, these statements, this reality onto the land. Because the land has relevance only because I'm holding on to this Torah. We don't just move in, this is the land, and by the way, let's make some laws. It's bigger, this is the key statement, here's the punchline. It's bigger than the place that holds. It's bigger than the place that holds it. Which is kind of what you were saying, right? It can't be placed in one place. And kind of what you were saying is, well, we have a precondition over here. My precondition is I'm attached to this thing, which I take inside. So why couldn't God have just done it in Israel anyway, and told us this? Because the Jewish people were about to be kicked out, and God knew it. We're going to be kicked out. Actually, the first time for 70 years, second time for 2,000 years at least, and counting. So Hashem had to make it in a way that the Torah was outside of Israel, so that wherever we go, we're outside of Israel.
So it's almost like diaspora was foresawn.
Yes. Exactly. It was a given that was going to happen. Maybe not necessarily. We could have not messed up. But on the off chance that it did happen, and it did happen, that we'd be kicked out of the country, we at least would have the seeds of the Torah outside. And by the way, so much was this foreseen that when the Torah was given and was written, before the Jewish people entered into the land, they actually wrote the Torah in 70 languages and put onto rocks. The book of Joshua, they talk about it. And they were placed outside like a big mezuzah on big rocks outside and covered with plaster so they could be there. As if to say the Torah is larger than any language and could be received and understood and learned. We're talking English right now. Well, I am. I don't know if you're listening. You may be American. But when we talk it, right, it's understandable. But it's Torah. How can that be? Torah is Hebrew. It was given and it was translated into 70 other languages, the primordial languages, we understand them, so that wherever you are, it would always be present. That was the idea. That was question number one. We're going to revisit that again a little bit in a few moments, because it may relate to question number two. So question number two, which I want to discuss with you this evening, is what's the only Jewish holiday in the Torah, and actually even the ones not in the Torah, to be fair, but what's the only Jewish holiday that doesn't have a date? There's no given date. Let's go through them. Rosh Hashanah, does that have a date? What's the date? Very good. Aleph Tishrei. Yom Kippur, does that have a date? What's that? 10th of Tishrei. Very good. You went to yeshiva, young man? Jewish day school?
Just talk about it in the streets.
That's good. Your streets of Manhattan. I ain't buying that. Sukkot, 15th of Tishrei, right? 4 days after that, what we got? We got Hanukkah, not in the Torah, but we're given a date. 25th of Kislev. We have Tu B'Shvat, thank you so much, which is 2 Shvat, 15th of Shvat. We have Purim. We have Pesach, which is, that's right, 15th of Nisan. And then we get to Shavuot. Lag BaOmer, okay. 33rd day of the Omer.
What Shabbos?
Shabbos, very good question. Shabbos doesn't come once, he comes once a week. So we know the day it appears on. So we don't need a date for it. It doesn't have a date, it's a day. But that's it.
We have a date for Shavuos now.
Because it's always changing.
Always appears on the same time. 49 days, that's the 50th day after Pesach. There was an original date. Why can't we just have the date for it? Why is the date not mentioned in the Torah? I'll say even more than that. We know Shavuot, or Shavuos, celebrates the giving of the Torah. Did you know it doesn't mention that in the Torah? Nowhere in the Torah does it say Shavuot equals giving the Torah. It says, why do you keep Pesach? Left Egypt. They kept Sukkot because Sukkot Oshva, we sat in Sukkot, whether that means the clouds that we were protected by, or the tents we lived in. Yom Kippur is Kapara. We know what's happening, Rosh Hashanah, the New Year. Everything's written, Yom Teruah. And yet, here, all of a sudden, Shavuot, it doesn't tell us what happened on it. It discusses Shavuot. And in the book of Exodus, chapter 20, it talks about Mount Sinai at great length. But it doesn't tie those two events together. But we all know that the Torah was given on Shavuot. But it's described as an agricultural holiday when the new fruits are coming out. It's very, very strange. We all know Torah is given on Shavuot. It's discussed in our prayers, the Siddur talks about it, the Gemara talks about it, and yet the Torah leaves it out. That's very strange. And why is there no date? How do we know when to celebrate Shavuot if there's no date? What do?
We count.
We count. How many days?
50.
49 we count, and the 50th is Shavuot, absolutely. It's 50, you're right. But it's count, and it starts on the second day of Pesach. First day of Pesach, we don't count because we're too busy with the Simcha of Pesach. Second night, first day of Cholamot if you're in Israel. Second day of Pesach, second Seder night if you're in Chuslar, outside of Israel. You count 49 days, boom, we're on the 40th, and you get to Shavuot. For someone to tell me, there's got to be a reason why. There's no date given for it. And we're not even told what happened on Shavuot. We're just told it's an agricultural holiday. You gather in our crops. Atzeret. It's a great question, by the way.
Is it a question on ego? Like you don't talk about yourself? Like the Torah doesn't talk about its own origins and its own...
That's a very nice answer. You know, I've not heard it in relation to this question, but I've heard it in relation to another question, which is why the Torah, which I wasn't going to discuss, but I'll mention it since you mentioned it, why the Torah had to be given in the desert. Why was the Torah given in the desert, right, in the Sinai desert? Why not in a metropolis? So they say it's an ego thing. Had it given in a city, it's very egotistical. There you are in the desert, which is a open plain, no one owns it, it's ownerless, so the Torah is ownerless. Anyone can have it. So that's a great answer, but not to this question. That was good though, very good. Anyone else? Why is there no date for Shavuot?
I mean, if you're counting 50 days from Pesach, and the dates of Pesach are changing every year, it has something to do with almost the timelessness or the eternalness of the Torah, in the sense that it's always varying, because it's always ever present, it's always existing.
Very nice. Someone's thinking tonight.
Right.
That beer's working well for you, young man. Hold on to that thought. Anyone else? Let's do it again. Let's say Shavuot had a specific date to it. What might you have thought?
That you only celebrate the Torah on that.
Beautiful! Did you only celebrate the Torah on that day? We only celebrate Pesach one day. We only think about, well, actually think about it more often than that. But really, we celebrate and do the whole Pesach, all the matzah and everything else, once a year. Day after Pesach, what happens? You got a bad stomachache. That's it. Then your mother's like, thank God, take out the cutlery again, bring out the old pots, buy back the chametz and run for pizza. And that's it. Okay? So every single holiday, it goes. You can't do that with Shavuot. Because if you did that with Shavuot, you would think that the Torah is a once-a-year activity. It's not. So it actually spans the entire year. It's always, always, always there. It can't be limited to one space, but the Torah also can't be limited to one time. It's bigger than the land of Israel, so it had to be given outside, and it's bigger than any one time, so it had to be given outside of a specific time as well. Now I have to know when it is, or I can't celebrate it, so we count. And by counting, we show that it counts. Right? You count up to it. You're excited to get there. So why doesn't, this last part should be very easy for you, then why doesn't the Torah connect Shavuot and the giving the Torah? Why doesn't it connect it? Why doesn't it just say, oh, by the way, there's no date, but that's when it happened? You with me? It's the same thing, isn't it? Or maybe there's more. Maybe there's more. What do we describe Shavuot as? An agricultural holiday of chadash, of newness. That's how you're meant to relate to the Torah. Not as a day, but as something new and exciting all the time. It's not like your birthday that you look forward to because you know you're going to get messages on Facebook from people who don't speak to you the entire year and not going to speak to you again for 364 days. Right? That's not going to cut it. It's not going to work. How do you feel the day after your birthday? Maybe in your case it's hungover, I don't know. Right? You don't feel so good. It's always anticlimactic. Always is. As a child it was, and as an adult it's even worse. Now that you don't even think about your birthday anymore, it's like give up on it. You know? It's the same thing with the Torah. The Torah couldn't be connected to that day or that date or that place or that time, but it also can't be related any way and confined any way whatsoever to something that appears as a constant. It's got to be new and exciting. So the Torah describes Shavuot and hints at it by saying it is chadash. It's new. Now we refer to it via agricultural means. That's okay. But what I'm really relating to is the newness of the Torah. And that's what stays with me. So we talk about Judaism, which is really Judaism and the Torah and all the rest of it. What we're actually saying is that as a people, we're connected to something that's bigger than time, bigger than space, can't be held, is not owned by one person or one group. It's owned by everyone, has a connection to Torah. And that's going to be different to everyone. And it belongs to everybody, which is why the Torah, as a final part, was given to all the Jewish people. Not just to Abraham and his wife, or to a small group who then shared it with everybody else, which, like, by the way, every other religion began with one or two people that received the revelation, so they claim. The Torah was given to the entire Jewish people so that we were all present, at least ancestrally. It wasn't just like the Levites or the Kohanim who received it and said, it's mine. Oh, by the way, are you not from my tribe? Let me tell you what happened. Oh, it was Mount Sinai. Unbelievable! It didn't work that way. We all had to be there. Everyone received it. So it's not held by any one single group. So those are our two questions. Why outside of Israel? Because it can't be given in Israel. It's bigger than the place. And why Shavuot, no date? Because you can't put a date on Torah. Because then it goes away. And it's not revisited. And then it expires, right? And there's very nice. And there's no expiration date on the Torah. And that's what I'll discuss with this evening. Next week, we will continue this discussion if you're present. We'll go a little bit deeper into Shavuot and what it actually symbolizes on a more micro level. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.